a recap of Farmers Day at the Capitol, a great partnership with Arkansas Hunters Feeding the Hungry, and a lot more on today's episode of the Arkansas AgCast.
You're listening to the Arkansas AgCast, where we discuss the latest news, trends, and issues impacting Arkansas farmers and ranchers. Our show is brought to you by the Arkansas Farm Bureau Federation and hosted by Jason Brown and John Nickman.
Wait a minute.
No Johnny today.
Dude, where'd you tie him up? Hit him away, huh?
Yep, hit him away.
This is the Public Affairs Government Relations takeover.
That's right. That's right.
Jared Yates, thank you for joining us on the podcast today.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, man. We wanted to get you in here because we had a big day yesterday.
We did indeed. It was a big day.
Yeah, down at the state capitol. We had the Farmers Day at the Capitol.
We did.
Good turnout. I mean, we're going to talk about it, so I don't want to jump right into it. But so yeah, we thought we'd have you come in and kind of share a little bit about what happened. I think there's some breaking news down there we might talk about.
Sure.
So on and so forth. But yeah, how's everything in your world?
Man, things are good. We've been busy. Obviously, the session is approximately halfway through, so things have just been fast and furious. But it's been good.
It's been a week.
It's been a week. We've had a busy week this week.
Brian, how's your week going?
Same.
Yeah.
Still trying to catch my breath.
This is a weary podcast day. I'm here to tell you.
I'm standing.
Yeah.
And I'm breathing. So that's a good thing.
Literally and figuratively.
Yes.
Hey, I got to tell you, we had a lot of people in town for Farmers Day at the Capitol and other events going on, board meetings, stuff like that, which we'll talk about. But I had a few people stop and give us compliments on the podcast.
Yeah.
Before my attendance today.
That's it. Downhill. Downhill after that. Yeah, I mean, some folks that just said enjoy the information we share, or certainly John McMahon being on the podcast, which seems to be the overwhelming feedback. I don't get that necessarily, but I mean, just folks who say, I appreciate being able to watch and listen every week. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think they're liking the information, and they're loving the Stump the Host.
Yeah.
It's starting to take off.
I think what you're doing is kind of taking off, to your point. Someone tell me, I asked at least 10 people that question about how far can you walk into the forest, and no one's gotten it yet. I'm like, oh, you're like taking what we're doing here.
Do you know that one?
Halfway? Is that what?
There you go. There you go.
So anyway, it's a lot of fun. Thanks to AgriPulse for running our interview with Senator John Bozeman and their email this week. If you're here because of that, or not in the state of Arkansas and just think it may be interesting to tag along and listen to some of the agricultural news, welcome. And yeah, that's it. I mean, it's just been a really, really busy week. We've called it our week of action. We'll talk more about that in a few, but it's been busy.
It has been, but it's all been really good. I'll say action. It's been a lot of good events, a lot of good participation, and it's been a good week for Farm Bureau and for agriculture.
Feels like a lot of momentum, really.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Which is good to see, good to hear. Yeah, and if the weather will act right, agriculture. I mean, we're about to ramp up the row crop side of things.
Indeed.
I know. Talked to some cattle producers this week who are ready to start growing some hay. I think everybody's getting on the low end of that inventory.
That's true.
From winter, and so anyhow, yeah.
The rain has been good, but there's a lot of mud being raised out there right now.
You ain't lying. You ain't lying. Well, another big day tomorrow. We'll talk about it more next week. But the Ag Hall of Fame induction ceremony, Brian, I know you've been doing a lot of work on that.
Yes.
as have
Yes.
other members on our team.
Indeed. We're still ramping up, getting geared up for it, and we'll be there setting up tomorrow.
Yeah, I wanted to call attention to. I just moved on fairly abruptly. Sorry about that. I wanted to move on to talk about one of the outcomes from yesterday, which is Talk Business and Politics came out and talked to Brandon and Lauren Martin about one of the pieces of legislation that we've been working on. We'll talk a little bit more about that too. But in the meantime, if you're interested to hear about that, there's a great article. It has to do with young farmer legislation that impacts young and beginning farmers. And there's a great article in Talk Business about that today. You can find that on their Twitter account, on their website, wherever you may prefer to get that information. Here's a good one. A good friend of Arkansas Farm Bureau, Dr. Bill Robertson. I did not realize this. He retired. I read an article today. Dr. Bill plays a role in our commodity division, cotton commodity division. He's worked for the extension for 20 growing seasons. Famous for his, and I don't know if y'all have ever heard him talk about this, his Soil Your Undies soil health study. That's pretty fun. Have you not?
But now I'm curious. So
Well, I think if I remember correctly, and I'll probably butcher this, but what he's done is taken a pair of underwear and buried it in a field where soil health has been a priority, and then a field where it's not. And when you go back after so many days and go to dig it up, where soil health was a priority, those don't exist anymore.
Oh,
They're
wow.
just gone.
Okay.
Yeah. It's sort of a
Still-
kitschy, way to sell soil health. Talk about that and
It's
demonstrate.
like dropping a nail in a Coke. So
Yeah, so, kind of sort of like that. So anyway, but that study made the art. Whitney Haywood of Jackson County, who writes for Farm Progress, wrote an article about Bill, and that was part of her roundup. Yeah, he really is an all around legend in the Arkansas cotton industry, well beyond. So if you're interested in reading that whole article from Whitney Haywood, visit Farm Progress. It's made the rounds on Twitter too, and
Gotcha.
we're certainly grateful for him, all the contributions he's made to the cotton industry. And then one last thing before we dive in here, the 2024 Farm Bureau Ag Innovation Challenge application is open. We had Arkansas participants in this last year. It's really cool. There's prize money awarded, great awareness for up and coming brands in the ag industry, and really just an all around cool sort of incubator for ag, startups.
Sure.
That application is open now through American Farm Bureau. It's closes May the 12th. So if you're interested in that, just go out and search Farm Bureau Ag Innovation Challenge, and you'll see what you need to know. Well, you know what? We usually kick off the show with the legislative update, but since we have you here, we're going to hold off on that and let you deliver that. Okay. Any policy updates on that front. With that said, we'll start today with a bit of news from home. The Arkansas Farm Bureau Foundation is excited to be partnering with the ARFB State Wife and R and Women's Leadership Committees to launch a new Hunters Feeding the Hungry program. Arkansas Farm Bureau, along with county farm bureaus, have been working to fight food insecurities in our state for many years through local and statewide financial and food donations. Arkansas Hunters Feeding the Hungry is in their 22nd year of helping feed hungry Arkansans. They provide wild game meat to food pantries across the state. The ARFB Foundation is jumping in to support the organization's newest endeavor, the Wild Game Snack Sticks program. This program provides shelf-stable meat snack sticks to schools for their backpack programs to provide a protein options for students. The ARFB Foundation Board of Directors recently approved a $25,000 donation to Arkansas Hunters Feeding the Hungry organization. In addition to the donation, an additional $25,000 has been set aside to match donations made by county farm bureaus, individuals, and other organizations. If you or your county farm bureau would like to be a part of this great program, including a match, make a tax-deductible donation to the ARFB Foundation. Money earmarked for the Hunters Feeding the Hungry program will be donated on your behalf. reach out to Amanda Williams here at the state office if you have any questions or need more information. Have you had any of those beef sticks, or not beef sticks, wild game sticks?
Wild game sticks, I have. They're good. Ronnie and those guys and Grant Westmoreland, I mean, the things that they have done over the years since they gotten that organization started are really phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I think it's, I'm excited Farm Bureau is partnering with them and offering some assistance there, because what they do really is a great service to the state, and they make a big impact. And I know that those wild game sticks are good. We've, like I said, Grant, Ronnie, those guys gave us some, and folks have passed them around here at the office, and they're a good quality product.
Yeah. I've snacked on a couple. They're pretty tasty. I think it's great. I mean, to solve that protein on the weekend sort of issue that we see sometimes.
They're a good deer camp, duck blind snack as well, I have found. But
guys, yesterday's Farmers Day at the Capitol event wrapped up the Arkansas Farm Bureau Week of Action. Over the past 7 days, we've hosted winter commodity meetings, joined hands with Arkansas Hunters Feeding the Hungry, had a productive meeting with the U of A Division of Ag, and held our Insurance and Federation board meetings here at the state office. It's been a busy and productive week, all focused on growing and supporting the Arkansas agriculture industry. If you'd like to catch up on the events, check out our social channels, and if this sounds like something you'd like to be a part of, you can always join our membership at arfb.com for only $40 per year. All right, let's get back to the show. All right, Jared, thanks for being here.
It's good to be here. This is fun.
Yeah, it's something like that.
Yeah.
I am, I got to tell you, I am getting over not feeling well this week, and I've definitely not made it easy on you today, so I apologize for that. But let's talk a little bit about Farmers Day at the Capitol and the progress we're making really on our policy priorities during the legislative session.
Sure. So yesterday was Farmers Day at the Capitol, which actually started the night before. We hosted our members who made the trip to Little Rock to participate yesterday. We started with a dinner Tuesday night and had probably, I'd say, 220-ish.
Yeah, it was a full room
of our members there for dinner, and we were honored to have Senate President Bart Hester and State Representative John Eubanks speak to the dinner and speak to our members about their perspective on the session and kind of how it's been going up to this point. We're essentially at the halfway point, maybe a little past the halfway point in the session. So it kind of got started a little slow, but things are starting to pick up, and bills are moving, and so it's getting to be a little more hectic and chaotic down there, which our folks got to see firsthand yesterday.
Yeah, no doubt.
And so I think all total we had, somewhere around 300, a little over 300 of our farmers and ranchers at the Capitol yesterday to meet with their legislators and watch kind of the activity, the sausage being made, so to speak.
Yeah.
So it was great to have our folks down there and visiting one-on-one with their legislator about not only the priorities that our members have identified, but also just things that are happening on the farm from a day-to-day standpoint. What they're dealing with yesterday was communicated to their legislator yesterday, and I think that's really valuable for our folks to build those relationships and for the legislators to hear really firsthand what's happening on the farm. And so it was a great day. It was a great day.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, we've got some legislators who are involved in agriculture.
Absolutely. We've got, we have got, Arkansas is a very diverse ag state. We have row crop in the Delta, and cattle and poultry on the western side. We've got a lot of timber, aquaculture, specialty crops. I mean, it really is a diverse ag footprint in Arkansas. And so with that, members that are in the Delta, they see a row crop on a daily basis as they're driving around, or if they're farmers themselves. But you also have perspectives from the cattle guys and the forestry guys. So it's good to kind of pull all that together.
Yeah, no doubt.
With our membership and at the state capitol and talk about those issues individually. So a lot of great conversations happened yesterday, and so I thought it was really good.
Yeah, it was. I know. I wanted to. There's one committee meeting specifically I wanted to sit in. I had to watch it on my phone. Like I couldn't even get in the room.
Yeah, those committee rooms up there aren't very big to begin with, and so when you have a lot of folks up there, it's oftentimes hard to get in there and watch those committees do their work. But one of the committees that met yesterday was Senate Education Committee, and one of our priorities.
Yeah, I was going to ask about this.
Yeah, kind of exciting day yesterday that happened while all our folks were there is our bill HB 1336, which is an early ag education proposal. And it passed the Senate Education Committee yesterday while our folks were there. So that was exciting that they got to see that. We're really excited about that legislation. Essentially what we're aiming to do there is kind of educate our children at a younger age, an elementary age, kind of more about agriculture and where their food comes from, food and fiber comes from, and we're excited about that.
Yeah. Now that bill had already passed the House.
It has.
Is that right?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
So what's its next stop?
So it'll be voted on in the full Senate, and then once it's voted on in the full Senate, which we expect it to pass with no problems, that's always kind of but we expect that. And then from there, it goes to the governor's desk for signature and will become law.
Yeah. Just my personal perspective, but watching that, I think it was almost unanimous.
It was
unanimous coming out of committee yesterday.
Was.
So that's good.
It was unanimous in the House, unanimous on the House floor, and then now unanimous in the Senate committee. And so we're hopeful for a unanimous vote in the Senate, full Senate, and then it will become law.
No cost, no obligation.
Sure.
Strictly voluntary. We're gonna pay for the costs that are associated. I mean, it's
That's
really
right.
a win-win-win.
That's right. And it's actually going to be started as a pilot program. And so we're hopeful that over the next 2-3 years, once the pilot program has proven itself to be effective and work and do what we're intending it to do, then it could become a permanent program across the state.
Well, that's great. I know we're excited to have that going on yesterday. Well, look, while I've got you here, are there any other bills that align with our policy priorities that you'd like to talk about?
Sure, I'll mention a few. I mean, we've been working on, one of the challenges that we face and that agriculture as an industry faces is that the average age of farmers is increasing.
Right. Yes.
And the average or the number of farmers total is decreasing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Farm Bureau, not only in Arkansas, but Farm Bureaus around the country and other ag organizations, the future of agriculture, to preserve the future of agriculture, we need more young farmers and ranchers.
Yes.
And so that's a priority for us. And, we've got a couple of pieces of legislation that we hope to improve that. One of those is House Bill 1003, which is a beginning farmer tax credit. And essentially that would allow, provide some tax incentives to make it easier to enter a large rental agreement on some property or to help purchase some property, some farmland. So, the input cost on farming, everybody knows, is really expensive. And so anything we can do to try to incentivize or make it easier for young farmers and ranchers to farm full time, we want to try to look at those ways and try to push those along. It's really important to try to get more young people involved in farming.
And really for the future of production, the security of food supply.
I say this all the time to folks, and it's food security is a national security issue. We are fortunate that we live in a country of abundance in terms of food and fiber, and we can feed ourselves. We don't have to depend on other countries to import food to feed us.
Right.
And we never want to get in that situation.
Right.
And so the future of agriculture is important to ensure that we can always feed ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's great. I know you happened to talk to the Arkansas Democrat Gazette yesterday, Christina LaRue over there. She published a great article this morning. If you'd like to hear more about these policies that Jared's talking about, you can certainly see more there and beyond.
Sure.
State meat inspection program, which passed in the last session.
That's right.
You guys covered a little bit of that and so on and so forth. So, I'm just Is there anything else that we should talk about or cover with Farmers Day? I mean,
one of the things I wanted to mention is just kind of the SB 324, which is a health benefit plan piece of legislation that Farm Bureau is working on, and I just people don't necessarily think about Farm Bureau as it relates to health insurance or health benefits, but that's something I wanted to just bring up is the same argument we were making a while ago about young farmers and ranchers getting involved in agriculture or taking that leap to become a self-employed full-time farmer. The input cost is a big impediment to that.
Right.
And one of those monthly costs that's really tough for young folks is the health insurance. Mm-hmm. That monthly premium every month really hits the budget. And so, Farm Bureau, not only in Arkansas but in some other states, are looking at ways to offer Farm Bureau members a health benefit plan as a member benefit that hopefully could be at a lower premium and something that may benefit them as a self-employed individual or a self-employed family.
Yeah.
When you're self-employed, you're stuck paying 100% of your premium. There is no cost share with an employer. So,
yes, sir.
This is a big deal to our folks. And again, it's not something that you would readily tag as an ag issue, but when you're trying to get young folks who are interested in farming, health insurance is a big deal to them. So that's kind of why we're supporting this bill and talking to our legislators about it.
And young folks, if you're a young farmer, then you probably got a family or starting to think in that direction.
Sure.
So that makes an impact too.
Sure.
And like you said, could be the difference of being able to go into farming or not.
Absolutely.
Just like the other bill we were talking about.
That's right.
So super important. Well, that's a great update. I mean, I was energized yesterday. I saw a lot of folks having great conversations in the hallways and the committee meetings, so on and so forth. We had a lunch where we invited legislators to come over, and
that's right.
And it was just an all around I think banner day for Farm Bureau.
I agree.
Yeah. Well, let's cover one last story before I wrap it up. I definitely wanted to bring this in to the podcast today since you're here with us. So chime in anywhere to offer perspective. But the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee approved a resolution Tuesday to void the Biden administration's Water of the U.S. rule scheduled to go into effect March 20th. According to AgriPulse, Committee Chairman Sam Graves of Missouri and Water Resources and Environment Subcommittee Chairman David Rouser of North Carolina introduced the resolution to use the Congressional Review Act to get rid of the rule. AgriPulse reports that Senate Republicans introduced identical wording but have not yet taken action. Rouser said the new rule would allow federal officials to determine for themselves what bodies of water are regulated and could prompt more lawsuits targeting farmers. Many farm organizations, including American Farm Bureau and Arkansas Farm Bureau, oppose the new WOTUS rule. If approved by the full House and Senate, the resolution would need a 2/3 vote to overturn a likely Biden veto.
The WOTUS discussion, which is Waters of the United States,
yes,
has been around a while, and with changing administrations, those policies and rules change with it. And from a farming and ranching standpoint, we always say that farmers and ranchers are the best stewards of the land. I mean, if we don't take care of the land, we can't raise animals or fruits and vegetables or rice or cotton or soybeans. If the ground and the environment's not taken care of, we can't do those things. So the environment is important, and our water is critical to that.
Yeah.
And our folks have taken the position, in my opinion, that it's just reasonable. We need reasonable rules and regulations, and when you try to expand some regulations that could cover a farm pond or a stream running through your pasture, some of that's just not reasonable, and adds such undue burden on farmers and ranchers that's just unnecessary. So it's kind of been a constant back and forth on WOTUS, but I'm pleased by the Transportation Committee's actions, and hopefully that will take foot, and the Senate will do something similar and add some common sense back into these discussions on WOTUS.
Yeah, it's a yo-yo too. I mean,
it is very much so.
I mean, when you hear about WOTUS, you're going to hear about the Obama administration's regulations, then the Trump administration, then Biden administration. You've got this lingering Supreme Court decision that's out there as well. I mean, it's really can cause some confusion for farmers.
No doubt.
In addition to risks such as this. So,
sure.
And not just farmers. I think I've heard somebody the other day give an example of a couple who had purchased a piece of property and went to build a residence and, got caught up in some of this.
That's right. That's right.
No,
that's exactly right. So, I mean, Congress is going to continue to try to deal with this issue, and the courts are, like you mentioned, are obviously involved as well with the court cases. And so, we're going to have to continue to monitor this pretty closely and kind of see how it goes. But, like I said, it's unfortunate that WOTUS keeps getting yo-yoed around, as you say, because that's absolutely the truth. Our folks need some consistency, and, we just would like to see a, reasonable common sense approach to this rather than it yo-yoing from administration to administration.
Yeah, farmers don't plan in 6-week intervals.
That's right.
I mean, it's years and years. So, well, look, before we get to Brian, I'll tell you, thanks for hanging in there with me today. A little under the weather, and have definitely made this harder than it probably should have been. So, thanks. Brian, what you got for us?
Well, since Jared's here, and because of the week that we've had, this trivia is all focused around the state capitol.
Jared, this is time where he makes us look silly.
Yeah,
Did I tell you that? Have I told you that?
So these are not like joke riddles or dad jokes or anything like that.
Okay.
It's all facts on our state capitol
State
building.
Capitol building. Okay.
So, you ready for that?
I'm ready.
Okay.
He's going to kill it. I have faith in him.
First few, it's going to feel like something out of the Old Testament, I feel. It's like biblical.
Start.
How long did it take for the Capitol to be fully completed?
I have no idea.
You need me to give you multiple choice? Because I can.
Multiple choice.
I always like them. I'd go with C. No, I'm just let's hear it.
Ironically, C is correct.
Oh, my goodness.
And I didn't even give you the number.
Yeah.
So,
he's that good.
Yeah.
yeah.
McMahon, you've been overtaken as the trivia champion.
It took 16 years.
Wow. 16 years.
16 years.
Yeah, it was completed in 1915 on January 1st. Do either of you know what was on the grounds before the state capitol, what they repurposed?
I have seen some photos of cattle in pastures and fenced really close proximity to the building itself.
Really?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with C, a farm.
He's sticking with letters here, Sassy.
Yeah, he is.
You got thoughts?
No, I mean it's 1915, right? It's as good a guess as any. I'm sure, I'll go with farm.
Very, very late 1800s. So it's the city of Little Rock was starting to build up around this, but it was the state penitentiary.
Really?
Oh, wow.
And the city was starting to build up around it, so they decided to move it to another location and put the capitol there.
Yeah.
Interesting.
State penitentiary.
State penitentiary.
Wow. There's probably a joke in there somewhere.
Definitely a joke in there.
Definitely
a joke in there.
I won't go there. So I'll ask one more.
Oh, come on. Don't go easy on him.
Though none are visible in the interior besides the basement.
This is starting like a riddle. I'm just going to tell you. It feels like a riddle.
How many bricks were used in the construction of the Capitol? Was it 8 million, 1 million, 100,000, or 500,000?
Don't guess C.
I'm going to go with 1 million.
Okay.
8 million.
It was 8 million.
Really?
How about that?
Yeah.
Jason Brown
It's a big
gets
building.
one.
I finally. This has been weeks.
You have come
I've been in
back
the
around.
desert
There you
for weeks, man.
We've had a couple of weeks of
He has put
goose
us through the
eggs.
paces.
I would like to see the definition of brick.
Oh boy, here we go. Here we go.
Now we're getting technical.
Yeah.
That sounds like we're in a committee
Yeah.
meeting or
Yeah.
on the floor
The
somewhere.
spirit of a brick or the essence of a brick? All right. Well, that was a pretty good one. Jared, I like your strategy. I may try that.
All right, one more just because he brought it up.
Okay.
So, 100 House members. How many sit on the floor?
All of them. That's some riddle.
How many of them sit on the floor?
How many House members sit on the House floor?
Do not trust him.
I mean, on the actual floor, 0.
No, not on the actual floor, in their seats, but
I mean, it'd be 100, right?
No, because the
They have to
speaker's in the
request
speaker's
leave.
chair.
oh, so how many would it be then?
I mean, 99.
There you go. See,
Golly. It's
See.
always something.
showing McMahon up too. So I mean, he's using some logic.
know.
Although
Well,
McMahon has done the same logic.
You know what you
so-
just guaranteed for me? A very disappointed father text. I get a text from my dad Saturday morning. Well, I just listened to the podcast. You're an idiot. That's what happens. He's like, how could you not guess, whatever ridiculous question Brian has for me? So,
Those are good ones.
yeah, he's pretty good at that.
I'm working on them.
All right. Well, that wraps up the news for this week. Jared, thanks for being here.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And just as we wrap up, I want to thank all of the members that showed up at Farmers Day.
Yeah, that's
It was
a good
an
point.
important day, and I'm glad they were here, and we are grateful.
Well, I know as a staff we had we really wanted to have a good turnout, and everybody who sent the invites, who worked hard to get them here, excellent job, and thanks to you all for coming. Yeah, we couldn't have done that. I mean, obviously it's the members who make that happen. So, well, that wraps up the news for this week. As I said, thanks for following along with the Arkansas AgCast. We're grateful to you for taking the time to watch and listen. Remember, you can catch the video production every Thursday at 4 p.m. on Facebook and YouTube, or listen to the audio version on iTunes or Spotify. And just make sure to leave us a review if you've got a few extra minutes. The Arkansas AgCast is brought to you by Arkansas Farm Bureau. And I'm Jason Brown. There is no John McMahon this week, but we will see you next week.